Hello, everyone. Today we're exploring a term you might have heard but never fully unpacked: neurotypical. What does it mean to be neurotypical? How does it relate to the vibrant concept of neurodiversity, and why does this matter in our everyday lives? Buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey through the human brain, its differences, and the beauty of how we all think, feel, and connect. This is going to be eye-opening, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little surprising. So let's get started. Let's kick things off with the basics. The term neurotypical describes people whose brains function in ways that society considers standard or typical. Think of it as a brain that processes information, socializes, and learns in ways that align with what most people expect in a given culture. If you're neurotypical, you likely hit developmental milestones, like speaking or reading, right on time. You probably find it easy to navigate social situations, understand idioms like raining cats and dogs, or adjust to changes in routine without much stress. But here's the kicker. Being neurotypical doesn't mean your brain is better or perfect. It just means it fits the mold of what society has decided is normal. And trust me, as we dig deeper, you'll see why normal is a tricky word. So, where did neurotypical come from? Picture this. It's the 1990s, and the autistic community is starting to challenge how society views neurological differences. An Australian sociologist named Judy Singer introduces the idea of neurodiversity, a groundbreaking concept that says all brains, whether typical or not, are part of the natural variation of humanity. The term neurotypical emerges as a neutral way to describe people who aren't autistic or otherwise neurodivergent. Over time, it expands to include anyone whose brain doesn't differ significantly from societal norms. This shift was huge. It moved the conversation away from disorder or deficit and toward acceptance and celebration of differences. Isn't it wild to think that one word could spark such a big change in how we view the human mind? Now, let's talk about the flip side, neurodivergent. If neurotypical describes brains that fit the societal mold, neurodivergent refers to brains that work differently, like those of people with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, or other neurological conditions. Here's where it gets interesting. Neurodivergent people might face challenges in a world built for neurotypical minds, like struggling with sensory overload or social cues. But they also bring unique strengths, like intense focus on specific interests or creative problem solving. Imagine a world where everyone thinks the same. Boring, right? Neurodivergent minds add color and innovation to our lives. The catch? Society often expects neurodivergent people to mask their differences to fit in, which can be exhausting. We'll unpack that more in a bit. Stay with me. Let's be real. Being neurotypical comes with advantages. Picture a world designed like a game where the rules are written for you. Schools, workplaces, and social settings are often built around neurotypical ways of learning and interacting. If you're neurotypical, you probably don't think twice about understanding a sarcastic comment, maintaining eye contact, or working in a noisy office. These environments feel natural to you, and that's a privilege. Neurotypical people rarely need accommodations, like extra time on tests or quiet spaces, to thrive. But here's a twist. This privilege can make it hard to notice the barriers neurodivergent people face. Ever wondered what it's like to navigate a world that wasn't designed for you? That's the reality for many neurodivergent individuals, and it's a perspective we need to understand. Being neurotypical isn't all smooth sailing, though. Sure, you might find it easy to follow social norms or adapt to change, but neurotypical thinking has its blind spots. For example, neurotypical people might miss creative solutions that come naturally to neurodivergent minds. Think of it like this. A neurotypical brain might follow a straight path, while a neurodivergent brain takes a winding, colorful route that uncovers hidden treasures. Both are valuable, but society often overlooks the winding paths. Some neurotypical folks might also struggle to empathize with experiences outside their own, like sensory sensitivities or intense passions for niche topics. The good news? Recognizing these limits can make us better allies in embracing neurodiversity. Isn't it amazing how our differences can teach us so much? Here's where things get exciting: the neurodiversity movement. This isn't just about labeling brains as typical or divergent. It's about celebrating the full spectrum of human cognition. Neurodiversity says that every brain, whether neurotypical or neurodivergent, has unique strengths and challenges. It's like a forest. No two trees are exactly alike, and that diversity makes the ecosystem thrive. Advocates argue that conditions like autism or ADHD aren't disorders to be fixed, but variations to be respected. For example, did you know that some of history's greatest minds, like Albert Einstein or Temple Grandin, might have been considered neurodivergent today? Their unique ways of thinking changed the world. This movement challenges us to rethink normal and build a society where everyone can shine. Doesn't that vision give you chills? But here's the hard truth. Our world isn't always kind to neurodivergent people. Schools often prioritize standardized learning, which can sideline students who think differently. Workplaces might expect everyone to communicate in a typical way, leaving neurodivergent employees feeling misunderstood. And social settings? They can be a minefield for someone who struggles with sensory overload or unspoken rules. For example, a neurodivergent person might find a crowded party overwhelming, while a neurotypical person might not even notice the noise. Some neurodivergent individuals mask their traits, like suppressing stimming behaviors or mimicking social cues to blend in, but this can lead to stress and burnout. Imagine constantly pretending to be someone you're not. How can we change this? That's the question we need to wrestle with. Let's dive into the science for a moment, because it's fascinating. Research shows that neurodivergent brains, like those of autistic individuals, can have structural and chemical differences. For instance, a 2014 study found variations in brain structure and neurotransmitters in autistic people, which might explain differences in sensory processing or social interaction. Another study from 2025 linked gut imbalances to changes in brain function in autistic children, showing how the gut-brain connection plays a role. But here's the cool part. These differences aren't wrong, they're just different. Neurotypical brains, on the other hand, tend to align with expected patterns of activity, making it easier to fit into societal norms. Science is helping us understand that no brain is better, they're just wired uniquely. Isn't it wild how our brains shape our experiences? So, what can neurotypical people do to support neurodiversity? First, listen and learn. If a neurodivergent person shares their experiences, believe them. For example, if someone with autism says bright lights are overwhelming, don't brush it off. Ask how you can help. Second, advocate for inclusive spaces. This could mean pushing for flexible work environments or sensory-friendly events. Third, challenge your own assumptions. Just because something feels normal to you doesn't mean it's easy for everyone. And here's a pro tip. Avoid phrases like, "you don't look autistic." They reinforce stereotypes and dismiss real experiences. By being curious and open, neurotypical folks can help create a world where everyone feels valued. Ready to be part of that change? Why does all this matter? Because understanding neurotypicality and neurodiversity changes how we see each other. It's not just about labels. It's about building a society that celebrates differences rather than forcing everyone into the same mold. Neurodiversity reminds us that there's no one right way to think, learn, or connect. By embracing this, we unlock creativity, innovation, and empathy. Think about it. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in history came from minds that didn't fit the norm. Whether you're neurotypical or neurodivergent, you have a role in this movement. It's about creating a world where every brain is valued, every voice is heard, and every person belongs. Doesn't that sound like a future worth fighting for? Wow, what a journey we've been on today. From unpacking what it means to be neurotypical to celebrating the beauty of neurodiversity, I hope you're as inspired as I am to keep learning and growing. The human brain is a masterpiece, and every mind, typical or divergent, adds to the incredible tapestry of humanity. If this video made you think, give it a like, share it, and subscribe for more. Drop a comment below about what you learned or how you support neurodiversity. See you soon.